Picture this. It's the summer of 2008. It's almost 7 p.m. on a cool Saturday night. You turn on Cartoon Network and you're in for a special treat. You hear the announcer say, "Catch a flick on Flicks." And the Cat in the Hat begins to play. Life is good. Growing up, there were just certain movies that held a special place in my heart. These were movies that were just perfect in every single way. Titles like Shark Tales, The Polar Express, and Shrek 2 were included in this list of movies that I could watch on repeat for the rest of my life. Movies that were just perfect. And among these movies was The Cat in the Hat. The 2003 live-action film, based on the children's book by Dr. Seuss of the same name, The Cat in the Hat, starring Mike Myers, is a cinematic masterpiece, a pillar of my childhood. And dare I say, this movie is the most perfect movie to have ever existed. It's charming, it's hilarious, and it's nothing short of genius. Before I started making this video, I honestly didn't think many people felt this way. But after taking a look at some of the reviews, I realized I wasn't alone. The Cat in the Hat is a modern cinematic masterpiece comprising of only the best cinematography, lighting, props,
They woke me up
and
from
of
the
course,
lie of a life I was living. It made me feel powerful. Something must have clicked in my brain. I could now operate in long visions. Many have said the best movies ever created came out very recently, like Avengers Endgame. Phenomenal. A true masterpiece. An American classic. This movie is nothing less of a masterpiece. Every single time it will always hold a special place in my heart. The Cat in the Hat is surely a cinematic masterpiece, but more than that, it's home.
The movie begins with a playful, customized DreamWorks logo, setting up the viewers for a wacky and fun movie. Something that I didn't quite remember about this movie from watching it as a kid is that the charming set really makes you feel like Anville is its own world, which, after doing some research, I found out is a real town called Pomona, California. Once the movie was done being filmed, the set designers offered to repaint the town any colors the owners wanted, free of charge. But most of them liked the way they remodeled so much that they actually kept the wacky pastel colors and whimsical design, which I thought was just wholesome. Pomona, California has been transformed to this day. The story starts with the mom from Sky High receiving a call from her babysitter, letting her know that she won't be able to watch the kids today. This is what sets the scene for the entire rest of the movie. This is what gives our lovable furry friend a chance to manipulate and abuse these kids, all while teaching them life lessons under minimal supervision. We're first introduced to Sally, and can I just say, I love this little girl. Watching this movie as a kid, I never truly appreciated her dialogue. By the end of this movie, she really becomes the best character.
Do you know how hard it's getting to tell people that we're related? Mommy, can't I have some rules?
No chewing tobacco.
Thanks, Mom. You have my word. Number 2, practice coloring. Number 3, research graduate schools. Jenny's not my friend anymore. Last time we made cupcakes, she wanted to be the head chef. I'm the head chef.
Next, we meet Conrad, as he's having an absolute blast, like the mad lad he is. A real boys will be boys moment, which is interrupted by the main antagonist, played by Alec Baldwin. This guy is just the worst. He tries to get Conrad to go to military school and physically abuses him right in front of the mother, who ignores him the whole time. In this scene, I'd like to think Alec Baldwin's glasses not having any lens here is a metaphor for how Lawrence is actually living a lie and putting up a facade that his life is together, when in reality, he wears a girdle. but the glasses also have lenses in the first shot and teleport from the right side of the briefcase to on top of it back to the right side. So it might just be a continuity error. It might be my inner English teacher coming out, but I'd like to think that it does have a deeper meaning, and I wouldn't put it past the creators of this movie. The mother and Baldwin leave, and we're introduced to the oblivious babysitter, Mrs. Kwan. The kids begin watching Chinese parliament fighting, but are quickly bored by that. Of course they are, and opt to stare out the window while the extremely negligent Mrs. Kwan drifts asleep. So something this movie does quite well is reminds you of the feeling of a boring rainy day in 2003, before smartphones and Netflix existed, when staring out the window seemed like a respectable pastime. There's something about the peaceful nature and simplicity of this scene that's just beautiful. When Sally and Conrad hear an intruder rummaging around their closet, instead of, I don't know, waking up Mrs. Kwan or calling the police, for some reason they decide to approach the closet and check it out for themselves. Mike Myers then shows up dressed in a fursuit, the Cat in the Hat himself, and terrorizes the children, chasing them all over the house, until he introduces himself in what I can only describe as a Joe Gatto New York Italian accent. Now, this is where the movie begins to get a little bit dark. The cat manipulates the children into being a part of his sick game. He uses these kids for his own entertainment for the entire rest of the movie. The cat bullies the kids into thinking that they're nothing without him, and somehow convinces them to
sell him their souls
in the form of a contract. We're finally introduced to one of the most vital voices of reason in this movie. This CG fish right here ends up providing the only semblance of supervision in this entire household. The cat tells them that they'll have all the fun that they want and nothing bad will ever happen. And I think I've watched enough Full Metal Alchemist to know that ignoring the laws of equivalent exchange never ends well. So this is where you begin to question whether this movie is supposed to be a parody of itself or a genuine movie, which either way I'm completely on board. The cat brings out a large crate, and this is where we actually begin to draw parallels to stories of Greek mythology. I believe this entire trope was inspired by the story of Pandora's box. The cat warns Conrad not to open the box, just as Zeus warns Pandora, or else the evils from his world will spill out into this one. And just as Pandora does, Conrad eventually ignores this warning and gives into curiosity. From inside the box, the cat pulls out Thing 1 and Thing 2, which I can only assume are the physical manifestations of evil. The cat then orders his demon slaves to ruin the house and wreak havoc. Thing 1 and Thing 2 are the true embodiment of chaos. Conrad notices the evil swelling inside the box and finally decides to remove the lock from the crate, letting the contents begin to leak. And am I high, or did that fish just hold its breath to go underwater? So, as I expected, the cat was planning all along to ruin the house. It was all a part of his sick and twisted game. The cat parties with Paris Hilton and then ends up manipulating the kids once again. But this time, he gets them to think that he lost his powers as a way to prolong the chaos ensuing inside the house. Meanwhile, when Alec Baldwin notices the kids aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, he tries to convince their mom of their shenanigans. Lawrence honestly walked so Candace Flynn could run. The cat tries to convince Baldwin that nothing is going on, but when that doesn't work, he straight up murders him. The kids and the cat decide that the best way to travel through the crate in order to close it from the inside is to ride Mrs. Kwan through hell like an amusement park ride. But in all seriousness, I absolutely love the practical effects in this scene. They're charming and whimsical, and an example of where using practical effects over CG really adds to the magic. Eventually, Conrad replaces the lock, the kids and the cat work together to clean the house, and all is well. The cat leaves and the mom returns to a spotless house. Everything is just the way that they left it. This movie is everything to me. It's the perfect story. It's complex, funny, and the dialogue is masterfully written. The set designing and practical effects make this movie what it is and transports you to Anville. This movie just checks every single box and more. Boxes I didn't know could be checked. The live-action Cat in the Hat is the movie you didn't know you needed, but you can't live without it. Alexa, turn off ambient noise. Alexa, turn off ambient noise.
You have ambient noise enabled.
I know, turn it off.
Do you want to open it?
No, just turn off what you're playing right now.
You have ambient noise
Okay, shut
enabled.
up. Shut the f up.
Do you want
Alexa,
to open it?
stop. No. Alexa. Alexa, stop. Alright.